If you are new to Code Geass Lost Stories, then this video is for you because I'm going to give you 10 key tips for any beginner, regardless if you are going to play the global release or the Japanese version. Let's get started. Now, as you probably figured, to summon characters in this gacha game, you have to pay a certain resource. But did you know you actually get one free summon a day? That is the first tip. Get your free summons in. Now, of course, the odds of getting a good character are not great, but I will tell you from experience, I get tons of rank 4s, and essentially you should go for it because, as Wayne Gretzky said, you miss all the shots you don't take. When you start summoning characters, it might be tempting at first to level them all up, but let me tell you that you should not do that because my second tip is to focus on building one team at a time. The idea here is to focus on creating one really powerful team and then slowly moving on to another one. So what that means is simply focus on a few key characters and then build upon those characters. By doing this, you'll have one solid team to complete all the missions, and as time progresses, you will be able to level up other characters without impeding the progress of completing other missions. Code Geass Lost Stories is a complicated game, so if you need help getting through many of the hard challenges, it's best to join a community of people just like you to help you out. I happen to have a Discord server where you can join to get help on the game. What a shameless plug. And so that's tip number 3. In addition to joining a community of people that will help you all through the game, you should also join a guild. That's my number 4 tip. A guild is super important because it gives you access to guild medals, which you can use in the store. It also gives you access to other cool benefits like the Nightmare Frame boss battle. The guild master can do boosts that will help you out. You can also request items, and so it's really important that you partake in the guild. I'm going to have 2 guilds for the global release, so make sure to join my Discord server to get access to both of those. And I'm sure you have questions about the best pilots and Nightmare Frames for the global release, so make sure you subscribe for more because I'll be working on those videos. But let's move on now to number 5. Now, when you log in every day, there's a ton of stuff to do, and it can be quite overwhelming, especially when you don't have a lot of stamina to play certain missions. So my recommendation, especially for players who are playing for free, which is probably most of you, is to make a plan of which pilots and Nightmare Frames you're trying to upgrade. And by doing this, you'll know which daily tasks to prioritize and which pilots to level up. That way you can log in with purpose and go through the game as fast as possible, and making sure you're not wasting your time or resources, because unfortunately the game doesn't give you a whole lot. Therefore, it's important to prioritize things through a plan, which I use myself, so I log in with purpose. When you first start playing Lost Stories, it's going to give you a lot of Sakuradite. That's the resource, by the way, you need to summon characters, and you might be tempted to go crazy on the next banner, but don't do that. Instead, save your resources because there will be other banners in the future. This is especially important if you are a free-to-play player. If you're whaling, then you can skip this part, but if you're not whaling like myself, it is very important to conserve your resources. There will be special events with limited characters that you want to save your Sakuradite for, or perhaps a new character coming out in a latest chapter. Basically, kind of like the previous one, if you have a plan of what you're trying to accomplish, it'll help you figure out which pilots to go for. And I will, of course, give tier lists and explanations on this channel of which pilots I think are good and which ones are not. I already have some videos on the channel right now that go over different pilots, and I highly recommend checking those out before you consider summoning at all. So when you're putting together a team in the team creation mode, one thing that you might overlook is my number 7 tip, which is to name your teams. This is very important because oftentimes in a game, you'll need different teams for different situations. Perhaps the Nightmare Frame boss battle, arena mode, certain faction challenges, a team you want to level up certain pilots, whatever the case may be. And so to make sure you don't forget which team was for what, you should give them a specific name. It's very easy to do, and it will save you tons of time in the future. Regardless of which daily missions you want to complete, it's very important to get an S rank on every single one, because then you can skip through it with skip tickets. That'll save you a lot of time down the road. Technically speaking, you can skip any mission with an S rank and 3 stars. It's especially important for the daily missions because you'll be doing those over and over again, and having to play through them would be a complete pain in the ass. So make sure you get an S rank and 3 stars so you can skip through them every single day. As you play Code Geass Lost Stories, you're going to summon a lot of pilots and Nightmare Frames, and it's very important that you utilize those duplicate lockets and Nightmare Frame cubes. As you limit break more pilots, when you collect that same pilot again, you can actually fast forward with the whole selling out the extras, which you can then use to buy duplicate lockets of higher ranks. So it's very important to take care of that early on, and also because those pilots will become useful down the road, especially early on in the game. And with the Nightmare Frame cubes, it's important to either convert them into a Nightmare Frame upgrade cube or turn them into a Nightmare Frame. And with building a Nightmare Frame, that can actually take some time. So don't forget, if you want to build an actual Nightmare Frame, to take care of that. The game won't remind you of this, so you have to make sure you remember it yourself. And that was tip number 9. Since Code Geass Lost Stories is a gacha game, that means by design, you are supposed to play it every single day because that's how you're ultimately going to rank up quickly, get the pilots you want, and complete the missions. You're given a certain amount of stamina every single day that will replenish every couple minutes. However, if you don't play every single day, you basically have stamina that you wasted because you could have used it and then gotten more for the next day. So it's very important to play every single day, and everything else I just mentioned is irrelevant if you don't actually want to play every single day. And that is why it's my number 10 tip, and arguably the most important thing mentioned in this video. So now that you have this basic beginner tips, you're probably going to need a guide to tell you how the entire game works. Well, lucky for you, I just completed a comprehensive guide on every aspect of Code Geass Lost Stories, and you can watch that right here.